Finished second in the first race, Greg. He finished first in the next two. As you get a chance to look here at race number 2, Bobby Fong showed so much pace the first day, and he would get to the back of Heron but not really be able to do anything with him. But on day 2, the number 50 found his groove, and you can see, Greg, he not only found his groove, he was able to get away from the number 2 and get his first win of the season, a win that was very, very popular up in the Northern California area where Bobby is from. Obviously, that had to feel amazing. Well, he would go to bed that night thinking maybe I can do it again, or later on that day for race number 3, and this sure is exactly what he did. You see him here behind Cam Beaubier. Earlier, he gets by Cam as Josh Heron had already done. Then he does the same move, Greg. Turn 11, goes underneath Heron, was able to hold on to that lead, pull away, do the double on Sunday, and for the 50, getting those 2 Superbike wins. Third now in the points. Got some momentum going here into VIR with pole position here.
So great job by Bobby Fong. In a 3-race weekend, 75 points on offer total for Fong. And you can see that he was able to score 70 points with those 2 wins and get that 3rd podium. Let's go down to the 3rd member of our broadcast team, Jamie Howe, who's with the Californian now.
And for Bobby Fong, that momentum that he's carrying, it didn't just stop after those 2 race wins. Of course, the pole sitter for the first time this season as well. Bobby, for you, the momentum that you're carrying into this race, I know that you're hoping for another strong result, but what kind of Yamaha do you have underneath you to get it?
Honestly, our progressive performance Yamaha is, it's good this weekend. You know, we're riding good, and we feel confident, and I know it's going to be a dogfight up here, and I think there's going to be some contenders throwing some dive bombs out there, but we got to be smart. I think we have a little bit of pace, and we want to stay steady, and I think at the end of the race should be our strong suit, so we'll just keep it rolling and stay positive.
Positive Bob. He's back at the racetrack. We're going to move back down the grid just a little bit. Josh Heron still has the commanding lead in the Superbike Points Championship, but he has never won a Superbike race here at VIR. He has won 4 times in other categories. Interesting enough, Ducati has also never won here at VIR. So for Josh Heron carrying the flag of both today, he did not go out during that second session of qualifying. Did do 2 laps during the warm-up session. Josh, what sort of confidence do you have now as we are getting ready to race?
Yeah, I think we're feeling good. You know, I got so many laps around this place. I had a kid come up to me in the autograph session today, and he's like, hey, I want to show you something. He showed me a photo of a poster that I signed for him before he was born 18 years ago. So I've been coming here for a long time. I love this place, love the fans here. Just love everything about it. So I think, we missed this morning, but it was not great conditions anyways to be out there, and we were able to get the bike, for sure ready for today. And yeah, I'm happy, man. We got our entire Cat Machinery crew here, which is one of the largest cat dealers in the country, so go give them some support. Happy to have them out here, man. I think everybody would agree this bike looks pretty sick right here, yellow like this. Got the hard hat helmet here this weekend, so just trying to have fun with it, man, and yeah, try to enjoy it as much as we can. We got to go out there and get some wins today. Laguna, we got the win and then played it kind of safe Saturday, Sunday, or the 2 races Sunday, so now it's time to go and try to get some wins, so let's see what we can do.
Might look different, but the confidence stays the same, Greg.
Yeah, so Josh Heron looking really good. How about this guy, number 69, Hayden Gillum, on this Honda? He had a chance to sit down with JP and talk on the Racers Track with Jason Pridmore.
Hayden, what a year you're having so far. I mean, you bring Honda back into the paddock, but as a young guy who's won championships, had a lot of success in the paddock, is there a sense of frustration as well as positives on trying to develop a new Superbike?
I mean, yeah, there's definitely some frustrations. I'm happy to be doing it. I'm enjoying doing it, like I'm learning a lot. But at this level with these guys, it's hard to go out every weekend and be trying to learn something new and learn a new part or learn new electronic pieces or something like that. And so it's tough because I want to be at the front, but right now the bike is not quite there yet. We're still missing a few little pieces, and that's the goal. Is I've never been on a real proper Superbike here, and that's the goal, is to get to that point and be able to run at the front with these guys. There's a bunch of championships between Heron and Beaubier and Gagne. Like there's a lot of championships between those guys, and I want to be there, and getting this bike there is just taking a little bit longer than I wanted to.
So we've got the stock 1,000 record in both lap record in the race and in qualifying. this morning were FP1 and Superbike that had to give you a little bit of a boost.
Yeah, it was good. I knew coming in that this would be a good track for me, and I felt like with the way the bike has been lately, it could be good. So this morning was a little bit of a surprise. Again, we were chasing some gearing. We haven't been here on this bike yet, so we were trying to get that stuff sorted. And yeah, it's good. I'm enjoying it. This bike seems to be working pretty good here, and I like these tight physical tracks like this. So yeah, we'll see.
Well, let's have a great weekend, and good luck to the rest of Saturday, Sunday.
Thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and the good news is American Honda and HRC behind the Real Steel Honda program of Hayden Gillum. But let's look at Virginia International Raceway, a roller coaster of a road course up and down. It's got 14 corners, but a couple key passing spots, including number 1. But if you're really tricky, you'll find some places to get by your competitors. It's going to be a fun race. That's the overhead look at Virginia International Raceway. Here's a look of our Insta360 track lap.
Yeah, this is great. This is going to be down into that hard braking turn 1, Greg, that you just spoke about. Out of here, you're going to be on the edge of the tire, accelerating a lot out of here. Then we're going to get into this turn 4 section, little technical area. You talk about some tricky passes. You could do those down in here, but you got to make a big commitment. From this point on, you're accelerating down a back straightaway, under the bridge into turn 7. You'll eventually, Greg, get to this area. This is coming down the hill back towards start finish line. This is extremely fast, a little bit off camber. This left-right flick coming onto the front straightaway will carry your speed all the way down that long straight.
Unbelievable natural road course here at Virginia International Raceway. And thanks to Cameron Beaubier for those pictures. And this guy on the front row looking for another race win. It's been a while.
MotoAmerica Superbikes is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash, multiple race classes, live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
"20 laps of Superbike action on the way here at VIR, and Bobby Fong on that pole position. But let's talk a little bit about the championship leader, Rog. Josh Herron from the second row of the grid, and didn't go out this morning. He said that didn't want to take those risks, but now the first lap he's going to do of the day is going to be lap 1 of the race.
Yeah, and as he mentioned on the grid, he's been here a lot. Josh has got a lot of experience, and I think that's one reason why he's able to set out that session, and him and his team had a good plan, and they've had one the last couple years, so why venture off that? But missed out this morning, missed a little track time, but for Josh, when the lights go out, he's always there. Yeah,
you can't question too much about Josh Herron and his team over the last few years with all the success they've had. And from that second row of the grid, you know he's going to come through, and he's strong in a few areas in this track.
And he's going to be strong right off the start, going down into turn 1. He's going to make some moves, and even on the first lap, he's going to turn 3, turn 4. He's going to sneak on the inside of some guys through there.
20 laps around here is going to be a long race in these Dunlop tires, and managing that all the way through is going to be a key challenge for everyone.
And you think, they lost a lot of track time too, these riders, with the weather this morning, not getting a full dry session. So tires are going to come into play. The right-hand side of the tires here at VIR do take a lot of abuse in that long right-hander, and then getting onto the front straightaway as well.
Yeah, obviously we've seen it a few times in recent rounds where some of the stock riders have been able to get into the mix for top 5, top 6 positions. They've already had their opening race of the weekend. So any of them able to challenge it for top 6, do you think, today?
I think it'll be tough for that to happen with the field that we have, and with the Stock 1000 Superbike Cup, but you never know when the lights go out. We've seen some of them make their way toward the front.
Oh, it's going to be interesting for it. And 20 laps of action on the way. Bobby Fong, Sean Dillon Kelly, Cam Beaubier on that front row of the grid. Greg White and Jason Pridmore are going to take us through the action here in the Superbike class at VIR.
Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway, Superbike race number 1, warm-up lap in action at the moment. 20 laps scheduled in this one. Let's take a look at the starting grid and how they qualified for this weekend's race action. On pole position is going to be Bobby Fong at a 124.227.
Gotta love SDK there, putting that Suzuki on the front row, Greg, next to Cameron Beaubier. Herron, Gagne, and Richie Escalante, another fantastic effort from that Suzuki of him as well. Benjamin Smith, Danilo Lewis, and Max Flinders are on row number 4. go on back, Greg, here to row number 5. We're going to see J.D. Beach, Dion Campbell, Jason Waters, Nolan Lampkin, Blackman, and Giannato just outside of row 6. We have Bobby Davis on the back. I think the big thing, Greg, it's a fast run down to turn 1. The number 1 of Josh Herrin gets such great starts, and I feel like this is a must-win race for Beaubier and for Fong if they want to try to not let the number 1 of Josh Herrin continue to pull away in those points.
I mean, the only advantage they have right now is the fact that Herrin is sitting on row number 2, but there's not a lot of real estate between row 1 and 2. And then Herrin, okay, just jumps off the bike to make a quick adjustment. I thought there for a moment something might be going on. You got to do it. You got to do it. All right, so here we go. 20 laps scheduled for Superbike race number 1 here at VIR. You're going to see those lights turn red, and you're going to hear the revs pin. Off the limiters, and the clutches are out, and we're away racing. Look at Herrin, just like you talked about. Look at Herrin, though, up to third.
To what he does, he just gets amazing. Look, he's going to try to ride around the outside of a couple guys, but he's going to be Cam Beaubier, it looks like, trying to get this start, Greg. I can't tell from this angle, obviously, but it looks like it's going to be Cam Beaubier and Bobby Fong battling each other, and it's going to be Bobby Fong who sorts it out into turn number 4. They will go. Herrin is in third as he jumps ahead of Cam Beaubier. This is what he does, Greg. New tires, and he gets very aggressive early, and he puts everybody on their back foot. He's going to go charging after Bobby Fong right now as well. Will the number 1. And you're going to see Jake Gagne there has moved ahead of 4th, ahead of SDK.
So much confidence does the Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati rider on the yellow machine. That Carter Cat sponsorship this weekend, and Herrin talked about how good the kid is, but he does not want to let the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha of Bobby Fong get too far away. We know that Herrin has been coming here a long time to VIR, and he has had this place dialed in. Oh, little wide for Herrin. Yeah. Beaubier with nowhere to go.
But he pulled that down really quick. We both saw the same thing, and then next thing you know, that Ducati had found itself back to an apex. So it's going to thwart his efforts this time, Greg, to go back past down this front straightaway. As you look back through the field, you're going to see SDK now has got to get in the draft of Gagne, who's trying to get in the draft of 2 very fast motorcycles ahead of him in a BMW and a Ducati. So leading the first lap through, Bobby Fong, Herrin, Beaubier, Gagne, SDK, and Escalante round out your top 6.
27-1 for Bobby Fong from a dead stop. That's just 3 seconds off of how he qualified. Incredibly fast.
And the thing about Bobby, you heard him say in his interview that, you know, late in the race, I think we've got something for him. The dangerous part about it for the rest of the field, knowing that, is if he's leading at the start, it's going to be hard to continue to match the pace if he does have pace some 14, 15 laps into this. So you could see Beaubier now all over the back of Herrin as they head down towards turn 7. Let's see if the 6 tries something. Not quite close enough, but Beaubier looks like he's got some pace that he wants to try to get by. As you look like the BMW almost ground down a little bit. Both bikes snapping sideways on the outside of turn 7. Jamie, what you got on Cam?
Well, for Cameron Beaubier, it hasn't been the easiest of weekends, we'll say. He started off in the first practice session. They had an electrical issue. He lost some track time there, and then in the first session of qualifying, really was struggling with some grip. They made some big changes to that bike from front to back, but then ultimately a red flag didn't allow him to use any of them. But he said in qualifying this morning, the bike finally felt better than it has all weekend. He hasn't been here since 2019, remember? He went and raced over in Europe, and he said for him coming back, yes, it took a couple laps to get back into this flow, but man, this is fun to come out and race here.
Yeah, well, if you look right now, Greg, the place where Bobby's doing his damage is that third split from the top of the hill. Beaubier now stands up here and gets through on the number 1 down into turn number 2. So Beaubier does the pass that he needed to do. And, you know, Greg, for me, when I look at Bobby breaking into that turn 12 area, at the top of the hill there, turn 10, I guess it would be. Turn 10, he looks really strong breaking through there, where Herrin looked like he was just having trouble getting that Ducati to slow down. And you can see Beaubier has already started to open up a small gap on the number 1. As we get in our ears, in our headset right now, it's going to be Ben Smith and Hayden Gillum have gone down. Not sure if let's see, there's Hayden's bike, there's Benjamin's bike. So this probably happened down into turn 2, braking and trying to outbrake each other. So both riders are up and okay, which is the main thing.
See if we get a replay of this from our crackpot crew. See what happened here.
Oh, yeah,
Jay.
Hayden's down the inside, and he just ends up clipping ever so slightly. And you can see just really a racing incident. It's one of those things where Hayden saw an opening, and Ben Smith tried to avoid, But yeah, to me, it's a bit of a racing incident.
So those two riders up and trying to get their machines going. As we go back now, as Josh Herrin starting to fall into the clutches of the 32 of Jake Gagne. So Fong continues out front, 24.640 last time, goes 24.623, but Beaubier takes 0.4 of a second out of the lead of Bobby Fong by going a 1 minute 24 second .287, and fastest lap of the race so far by the number 6 on the Tytler Cycle BMW.
One of the things that we heard Jamie do a pre-race report on was this. It was Josh Herrin didn't go out this morning for that session, Greg, and it might be hurting him right now.
By the way, play MotoAmerica for cash. The Superbike Baggers and Supersport Series are now live on top sportbooks and DFS platforms. Scan the flow code or visit nxtbets.com/playma to see what's available in your location. Sign up, claim exclusive bonuses, and make your picks now.
Finishing up on my thought on that, Greg, is that Herrin, the conditions were a little bit bad this morning, and the team had a little bit of work to do on the bike, and maybe it tells me that they felt like they had a good enough motorcycle underneath them that they didn't need to go out and try anything. But these other teams did. Overnight, they may have made some changes. Everybody else did go out. These two guys actually went quicker this morning. That's what pushed Herrin. And SDK was obviously very fast this morning, too. That's what pushed Herrin back to the second row.
By the way, if you're wondering about Josh Herrin and his physical condition, because remember a few weeks ago when we were at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca, he had a tremendous off. He wasn't 100% when he raced. I asked him about his physical fitness, and he said, you know, it didn't take long for him to feel much better. The only issue was his neck was getting a little bit sore, a little bit stiff last week, but he had some work done on it, and he said that he felt completely fine for this race. But the one thing we do know is that looking from the first session, when we were looking at the number 1 plate, that the Ducati was moving around a lot more than we've seen it move around in the last couple of races.
Definitely.
So
yeah.
It might be a bit of a bucking bronco right now for Herrin, although it looks like he's just kind of settled into this pace, and he's trying to hold off Gagne and Sean Dillon Kelly. All the while, Cameron Beaubier right onto the rear wheel of the number 50, Bobby Fong.
And they're both in the minute 24 range, Greg. Bobby Fong 24.7, 24.3 that time for Cam Beaubier. So he backs up that 24.2 with a 24.3. So for Beaubier, he definitely has some pace. I think for Bobby, this is going to be a thing where let's just try to do whatever we can with 16 laps to go to keep that number 6 behind me. I think Beaubier's got enough pace where Bobby might feel, and this is going to be a real telling lap for me. If this pace starts dropping back into the 25s on Bobby's part, it's going to let me know that Beaubier has probably got those 24 pace in him still. Bobby, though, is really good through this top section, Greg. You can see a small gap starting to open up just a little bit. As Cam closed up on him in that first sector, Bobby pulled away in the second.
So for Bobby Fong, good where it counts at the moment. We're going to get a good idea of lap times because Beaubier all of a sudden had closed up, and boom, just like that, there was just a small gap. But we know that the BMW M1000R has got some legs on the straightaway. Not much of a straightaway here at Virginia International Raceway, but enough to make a difference. As you can see, Beaubier closed right up on the brakes, using a little bit of that draft maneuver to close up on the Yamaha, but Bobby Fong still in command. So 24.7 to 24.6 again, hanging around that range. Jason, with 15 laps to go in this one, if you're Beaubier, is there an urgency right now to get to the front and lead?
There is, and I think that, Greg, when we go back to this shot again, I just noticed something in our last pictures there, that the Yamaha is a little bit different than the BMW on, and we'll stress it when we get back. And there's a reason why Bobby has lost a little bit of time in that first sector, and then he pulls away all up here in this second sector. Where it's important for Bobby to be really good right now is the second and third sector, because if he can pull enough of a gap, Cameron can't get up alongside of him going down that front straightaway, and that's going to be pretty key because we know the BMW has the power to draft past the Yamaha. See this gap again?
Yeah.
But what I want to pay attention to now, and it could be my eyes deceiving me a little bit, but when they get down into turn 1, it almost looks like Bobby's going all the way back down to first gear. He does a short shift while he's leaned over up to second. The BMW, I believe, is carrying second from that time. He's going down the front straightaway, getting back down to second gear. We get that outside shot of them in turn 1 again. You'll see why he's losing just a little bit of time. But then the Yamaha strength, second and third split, that's the most important ones to be strong at. See this gap now? So let's see if Bobby, while he's leaned over at full lean here in a minute, because just now I saw him do an upshift somewhere in this, there. See that right there?
Yep.
See that upshift? So now Cam's keeping it in the same gear. Now watch Bobby. He's gone up 2 gears. He's going to go back another one right there. Beaubier's not. Those little extra tidbits that you see, they might not seem like they add up to much, but it's a couple extra upshifts and downshifts that Bobby has to do that Cam isn't. Cam's just going to allow that BMW, and this is just the characteristics of the bikes. Cam's going to allow that bike to just roll around in second gear there, but now the strengths of the Yamaha will come into play once they get to the top of the hill here. Bobby's second gear is probably going to be a little bit shorter as he's gone from fourth back to second, and he pulls away out of this turn. The bike stays a little tighter. He's been pulling away here. This lap, not so much, but this is where his bike has its strengths.
Bobby Fong, a lot of confidence in the front end, too, of the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha. And you can see there, down at the bottom of the hill, that dirt track experience by the California native out of Stockton, California, Bobby Fong. Both these riders, California natives, but grown up in motorcycle racing in much different ways. Fong, of course, an outstanding dirt tracker in his day, not afraid to spin the rear tire and hang it sideways like he does there. The gap back to third spot between Josh Herron, the number 1, Jake Gagne, the number 32, and Sean Dillon Kelly, the number 40, on the Vision Wheel M4X Star Suzuki. So we got Yamaha and BMW to Ducati, Yamaha, Suzuki, and JD Beach back there on a Honda. So how about all the manufacturers represented in the top 6? Love the Superbike class here with 13 laps to go in Superbike race number 1, as Bobby Fong continues to lead by just a 1/10 of a second over Beaubier, who's really trying to figure it out right now. Where is he strongest? At the moment, that last 2/3 of the racetrack, Bobby Fong is really strong, and that's not allowing Beaubier to attack him off the back straightaway.
Yeah, it's
front straightaway.
Front straightaway, exactly right, Greg. And this is, again, just where two motorcycles have their different strengths. They make their lap times in a little bit different ways. You can see he does a shift there. In the past, we've not seen the Yamahas really do a lot of shifting through this spot, but now he's going to go back to second. I think Cam runs second all the way through this spot here.
Oh.
And yeah, it's really good watching him get that bike sliding out of here, Bobby.
Well, it's just he can finish that corner and then get another bike length on Beaubier just in that one little moment. And it doesn't look like Beaubier is either willing to do that, or maybe the bike isn't set up from an electronic standpoint to allow Beaubier to spin and square the corner up like that either.
Yeah, and then you're going to look a little bit further back, and you're going to see, I've seen Gagne in the draft with this Ducati down the front straightaway. The last 2 laps, they come right by our where we are actually sitting up here in our booth, and Gagne will be right up the back of him, but Herron's so good on the brakes when they come down here. You'll see here that Gagne just hasn't been able to do anything. He's just a little bit too far back, and Herron does a nice job of just getting into turn 2 there, very strong. And I mean, when you look at it overall for a points perspective, Greg, you know, Herron fighting for 3rd instead of 5th is a big deal in the championship. Oh, kind of just a little bit wide there, not too bad though.
Yeah, I didn't lose anything but a bike length, but it's also a slower section of the racetrack. Now back to Herron in 3rd place, the number 1 Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati on that Panigale V4R. A motorcycle in its last season of competition. As we know, Ducati has rolled out a new Panigale V4. But for Bobby Fong and Cameron Beaubier, this is a pretty decent sized gap. Kind of the first largest gap that we've seen since Beaubier was able to catch Fong.
What's Cameron great at though, Greg, in the middle of a race? Just figuring it out. You know, that's what we've talked about so long. He's gonna play with body position. He's gonna play with different ways of getting through these corners, maybe a change of lineup. He's watching everything. Right now, he has the ability to watch everything his competitor does. He's gonna look at his pit board right now and see he's got 7 or 8 seconds over the battle for 3rd. He's got no pressure coming from behind. So with each one of these laps that the 6 does behind the number 50 of Bobby Fong, he's just going to school. He's trying to learn as much as he can.
Cameron Beaubier got such a monster drive out of that final corner. He's able to go fastest top speed registered through our trap at 177.6. Fong out front pushing his own air, less than 4 mile an hour, you know, down on Beaubier. But we don't know if it was just the driver alone or the distance behind Bobby Fong in order to catch a little bit of draft and go to that maximum top speed. But either way, he's right there.
And I'm sure right now, the one rider in this group that's probably very happy to be here, but a little bit frustrated, is the number 40 of Sean Dillon Kelly. This guy has been riding so awesome this weekend. As we see, Max Flinders has pulled off the track. Looks like the bike has shut itself off. I'm sure Max got himself in hopefully a safe spot there. been around a while, so he knows where to park the thing. Yep, he's on the very, very outside of turn 7.
Job by Flinders.
Yep, really good job. Oh, Sean Dillon Kelly's got through on Gagne. So
certainly has.
Maybe he heard me talk about the frustration. Not sure if it was a mistake or if STK made that pass nice and smooth down there into that hard braking area. But STK, Greg, getting back to it, his laps this morning in qualifying were pretty fun to watch. Jamie, what you got?
Well, in terms of frustration for Sean Dillon Kelly, he certainly was carrying that into the race. This is the 5th time in the 6 race weekends that he's been on the front row, but he's still looking for his first podium result. And he said, honestly, I have no idea what the bike's going to feel like at the end of the race. We haven't made any long runs on it here this weekend, but what he did know was how determined he was to make something of this front row start. He said it is the point in the season where we've got to prove that we're worth it, and that's what his goal is for today.
Well, I think that he's doing that right now, and he's going to take this fight. He watched Gagne try many times to do things probably in trying to get by Herrin. So STK says, all right, let me take a shot at this #1 plate and see if I can do anything with him. And he's going to be able to assess now where the Ducati's strengths and maybe some weaknesses might be. And he wants to take the fight to Herrin. But Greg, he's just able to let this bike roll. The lean angles and grip that STK had this morning was really, really impressive to me, especially all up through this next little section. So he's going to try to be thinking to himself, could I go quicker and get away from these guys if I get through this little section a little bit better? The good that Herrin, the thing that he does so well is he's able to put that Ducati in the spots that its strengths are. He gets the bike stopped, turn, gets it up off the edge. And here you go again. He's just going to get in. He's so good on the brakes. It makes it hard to pass him.
Yeah, they're all tight through this section, but nowhere to go for the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki of Sean Dillon Kelly, nor the Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha of Jake Gagne. And this is where the Ducati has some good legs on these aging inline 4-cylinder Japanese motorcycles behind him. On that front straightaway, that Ducati is quick. And with the ability of Josh Herrin and the way the team set up this motorcycle for him to get drives, there's just no way to attack him down into turn 1 at this stage of the race. Bobby Fong with a 0.3 of a second lead, continuing to stay out front of Cameron Beaubier. And then this battle is 12.8 seconds adrift of what's happening up front, the battle for third.
Well, when you start to look at the places that are the most popular places to pass here at VIR, turn number 1 there, turn 7 where they're getting ready to come into in a minute, and turn 10 towards the end of the lap. Those are kind of spots right now where they doesn't literally look viable for the 40 or the 32 to go past Herrin. This is turn 7. So it's going to have to get kind of creative with where they're going to want to do the pass. And when you start to have to get creative, Greg, you also have to make a big commitment. You've ramped yourself up lap after lap. You've seen the place that you think you might have to do it. And that's where we're at right now. Is this gap has kind of continued to stay the same. Again, Greg, that third split is proving to be magical for Bobby Fong. Second and third, the second half of the second split and the third split is Sean Dillon Kelly made the pass up in turn 10. And Herrin, look, now this is where STK has to stay to the right side of the track. As he comes out of here and gets that drive, we know what Herrin likes to do, and that's fight back right away. Make Herrin go down the outside of you. If he's going to go by you, make him go down the outside.
Front wheel in the air, too. Kind of blew the drive for Sean Dillon Kelly, and a good line by Josh Herrin and a good drive onto the front straightaway. Able to utilize all the tools at his disposal to get by SDK. But, oh, wow. I don't know if there was contact. Herrin looked behind him to see what was going on. I don't know if that was wheel spin or maybe a front wheel.
It was probably, he probably felt, Josh might have felt a wheel up against his right boot, or maybe felt SDK's front tire hit the rear tire. That's what Herrin felt there. So SDK just running him really tight, trying to get by the number 1.
So this battle for third, so intense. The question is, where did SDK get by him? We didn't get a chance to see it, but off this middle straightaway, up the hill they go. It's so tight.
You're going to see it right here, Greg. You're going to see that front tire probably just get into the rear tire of Herrin. No, I told you, it's going to be up against his leathers or his boot. That's exactly what he felt there. He felt just a little bit of a nudge. So Herrin looks over, and then SDK looked over. But again, he shuts the door this time going down into that turn 10 area.
So a little love tap. No problem for Herrin. Seasoned veteran, professional, takes it in stride and still holding on to third place. Onto the straightaway we go. One more time. Fong's already and Beaubier have come across the stripe. So we have 7 to go in Superbike race number 1 here at Virginia International Raceway in 2025. Our first visit to this awesome racetrack since 2022.
Greg, what kind of pace does Bobby Fong have out in front? How about this group here? They're doing 27.5s. Bobby Fong just went 24.7. He's a 10th off of his best lap time with 7 to go. So Bobby said to Jamie at the start of our show, he's got good late race pace. He just showed me that with a 24.7, and he's gone fastest first split so far. Now this battle for third is going to continue to rage on. Greg, they're 18.2 seconds behind the 2 at the front.
Yeah, but it is a place on the podium. And Herrin looking at that 16 points. Doesn't want 13 or 11, even though he's got that 31-point lead. He has the potential to lose a little bit to Fong and Beaubier in this race. So Herrin is racing for that podium, but also Sean Dillon Kelly, so desperate to put this Suzuki on the podium. He had a race win on the BMW from last year, and now finds himself on the Vision Wheel M4 X-Star Suzuki. And what could be the final year of this race machine, Jay, as we know that right before we came to VIR, Suzuki sent out a press release on a brand new motorcycle for 2026, at least an updated motor and some aero. So Suzuki's finally going to get some aero on their motorcycle. As you can see, that the Ducati in front of Sean Dillon Kelly and the Yamaha behind Sean Dillon Kelly, all with a little bit of those aero winglets on it, but the Suzuki still old school. Oh, and a good run, trying to go around the outside for third place is SDK. He has a look to see where Jake Gagne is, and at the moment, with a couple bike legs between him, no factor for Gagne. So now the thought comes in, okay, I've gotten around him once, but where am I going to do it? It seems to me that if SDK is going to get around Josh Herrin and make it stick, he's got to do it much earlier in the lap. He can't be doing it in that last, sector number 3.
It's very difficult to make a pass there, and he's going to have to do something now up front. You're going to see Bobby Fong, I think, come up over the top of this. Oh, they're already gone. The first 2 are already gone. This is turn 7. So Herrin and SDK, Gagne looked like he was dropping off the back just a tinge through this section the last lap, but he's done a nice job to claw his way back onto the back of these 2. But he even loses a little bit of time, and here comes SDK again. Had a look. Herrin's in deep, Greg. He's in deep, but he gets the bike in there in turn. Does such a good job with that.
Just the way he did at the beginning, right? It's like you look at the attitude of the motorcycle of Herrin, and then he's able to just, with that raw, natural talent, get the bike turned to where he needs it. The race up front has extended to 2 seconds now. Bobby Fong ahead of Cameron Beaubier, but still 19 seconds back to Herrin.
24 still for Fong up at the front. This time SDK's close enough. SDK's close enough to think about a pass, but he just wasn't able to do it. So, again, to your point, it's going to be very difficult for SDK to make a pass down in that sector. He can maybe try to duck up underneath him in this next double lefts. We've seen passes there before, but again, Herrin's good through here. He does a back shift also on the Ducati out of there.
Herrin's one of the best at racing behind him.
100%. Well, he's just very good at staying focused on what he needs to stay focused on. This is where racecraft comes into play. There's more to riding a motorcycle than just being straight fast. And we've seen this guy win at the front at Laguna Seca 2 years ago, what I thought was a great performance where he might not have been the fastest, but he made the tools that he had work for him and was able to collect a win. And right now he's fighting for a third and those championship points.
And let's make no mistake, the last time that Ducati was here, this Warhorse HSBK Racing Ducati was here, was back in 22 with Danilo Petrucci. And I was told today that this is just a completely different motorcycle all these years later, a completely different rider, in Josh Herrin. And there wasn't really any data that they had back then, not to mention the fact that this track has gotten bumpier over the years. And the Ducati, let's be frank, is a very stiff motorcycle. I mean, the front of the chassis is attached to the engine, which is a rigid part of the chassis. So it doesn't like bumps that much. But one bike that does apparently like bumps is Bobby Fong and his Yamaha, because he goes 24.9, just 0.3 off his fastest of the race. The consistency has been incredible. Beaubier now 3.3 back. Sean Dillon Kelly is not in the pits, so ignore that in the upper left-hand part of your screen. Josh Herrin's still there in third place with SDK, as you can clearly see in your screen. And then Jake Gagne just losing another 10th or 2 touch as we have 3.5 laps to go in Superbike race number 1.
What Bobby Fong has done here in the last 3 laps is incredible, and he's just literally broke Cam Beaubier. I mean, the R1 up front has done, on tires is probably a little bit better. I mean, he is on a roll right now and continuing to put these sectors together. And right now, I'm just trying to figure out where this is going to happen, because Gagne has dropped off the back of these two. These two are going to continue to fight it out. Let's get down to Jamie.
Just doing a deep dive into the consistency in terms of lap time that you've been talking about with Bobby Fong and Cameron Beaubier. The lap time variability, like the best lap to the worst lap for Bobby Fong, he's within 1.16 seconds of his best. He's at the 100% mark. And then for Cameron Beaubier, he's at just almost 0.3 of a second. So his consistency here at the end of the race has certainly fallen off, and that's what allowed Bobby Fong to open that gap up.
Yeah, and Jamie, for a racer, the thing I love the most about that interview you did with him is he knew what he had underneath him before the start of this race. He had already made a mental plan of like, hey, there might be some guys that might take some shots early, but if we can stick there and stick it out, we have the ability at the end of the race to show some real pace. And look at the lead he's got now. I mean, the lead that he has is 4.6 seconds. I mean, he's made it look relatively easy, Greg.
Certainly has. And for Bobby Fong, he backs it down to a 25-1. That's still half a second within his best lap of the race at a 24.6. But for Beaubier, he loses another 1.3 seconds in that lap.
1.3 seconds for Cam to lose on that lap is incredible. So essentially, as a rider, when you come by your pit board, you might see a 0.5 or a 0.6 per lap if things are going great. Right now, he's going over a second quicker than the guy in second place. So he is just continuing to open this gap. And now he's going to come across with 2 to go. He's looking over at his board, and he's got to be smiling, thinking this is great right now. And he's really looking forward to maybe getting 3 in a row here on the trot.
And Bobby Fong 2 laps away from getting that done on his Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha. Boy, Bobby Fong has been a journeyman racer. He's won the Super Sport Championship in his career for the team that's battling for third in this race right now. But showing up last year on a privateer Yamaha, race wins for Bobby Fong, earned him the spot on the factory Attack Performance Progressive Yamaha team. It's taken a little while. It's a little while for Bobby Fong and Richard Stamboli, his team owner and crew chief, to really figure out how to get this motorcycle feeling like last year's bike in a way, but also better. And really, when it's clicked, it is now clicking for the Californian.
And the neatest thing for me, though, is we've seen this guy win in so many different classes on so many different bikes. He's won championships as well. And for him to get this shot to jump on this bike with Richard Stamboli and that whole crew down there, and see the confidence in Bobby. There's just a difference about him, even in the pits, the way he's going about it. He's always smiling, always looks happy. And why wouldn't you be when you know you're on a great bike with a great team? He's going to get the white flag right now, as you see there at the bottom of our screen. Bobby Fong, last lap, goes through here, 25.7. He's the only guy right now in the 25s as well, Greg. So he's continuously putting these laps together. 27.1 that time for Beaubier. This guy was 1.3 seconds quicker again. And, Greg, he's kind of just cruising around at the moment.
So Bobby Fong getting through some traffic. That's Joe Giannotto on the Honda, number 84. As Fong now, with a smile under his helmet, going to have some fun with that throttle. So talented, this guy. And, man, he and his team have really gelled. And now you look at the gap. Back to number 6, Cameron Beaubier.
And there's obviously a fall off here as far as what it's either a tire thing for Cam or whatever it could be.
But keep in mind, too, they missed session 1, too, right? Most of the sessions. So
yes.
I'm not making excuses for Tyler Cycles BMW, but definitely on their back foot a little bit this weekend. So this race number 1 going to be so valuable for the information that Cameron Beaubier and his team are going to be able to talk about and make some changes, as well as Bobby Fong, because really this bike just looks amazing this late in the race, especially with the lap times Fong's able to do. I'll tell you what, TAC Performance Progressive Yamaha nailed it this race.
Nailed this race for sure, and this is going to send a big warning shot to everybody, Greg, for race number 2 tomorrow. And, you know, for Bobby Fong, he's going to bring her home.
Onto the front straightaway, Fong giving the nod of approval as he takes the win. Race number 1 here at Superbike at Virginia International Raceway. Welcome back, Superbike class. And this battle for third, side by side between the number 1 and the 40. So desperate is the number 40 trying to get a podium, but Herron's got it. He's out front onto the straightaway he goes. He's going to pull the trigger on the Ducati. And now behind the bubble goes the 40. Is there anything under the hood for the number 40? To the line they go. And that side-by-side battle gets Herron on the box. Sean Dillon Kelly 1/10 of a second behind. And now the Honda battles. Gagne's in 5th. And it's going to be J.D. Beach ahead of Ashton Yates and Bryce Cornbow, your top 8. Nolan Lampkin, Giannato, Dion Campbell, and Hayden Gillum, who was able to pick up the bike and finish in 15th place, getting himself a point.
Man, Herron is just so defiant, isn't he? Like, you got to love it, man. He's just fighting for everything he can to get that third. I mean, they might as well be battling for a win there. SDK dying to get that Suzuki on the podium, and Josh just denies it coming down the hill. And I can't express to people at home how narrow it gets in that spot. You got 2 guys fighting each other coming downhill, probably at 100 miles an hour, and they've got to go from left to right. And you could see, I could visibly see Herron on the brakes getting into that right that you normally would just roll right through.
But for Bobby Fong, what consistency in that first 3/4 of a race. We'll talk to him and find out how it went.
Bobby Fong, our inaugural race winner here in the Superbike class this weekend. And Rog, when you look at what Bobby was able to do, obviously super impressive from him there. But the consistency, we saw the graph that came up and just showed the hard work in free practice 1 where he was able to go out there and qualifying to do his longer stints really paid off.
Yeah, just watching the afternoon qualifier yesterday was just what Bobby was able to get out there, and it looks like he put in a lot of laps. And this morning as well, he went out and he put in a lot of laps. And as everybody's tires start to go off, Bobby was able to maintain his pace and just the consistency, doing every lap within a couple tenths. Bobby's on a roll right now, and he's been riding good all weekend. He put that work in practice and qualifying, and it paid off today.
What about behind that as well? Obviously, Cameron Bobier in second spot picks up 20 points. But Josh Herron, he fought as hard as he could for the 16 points for third.
Yeah, and he always fights hard like that. I mean, he's going to go down. I mean, he's going to fight you that hard for 7th place, so he's going to fight you just like that for a podium as well. And he's just really good at those battles that he's in, able to come out on top.
Yeah, you don't want to get into a dogfight with him, and he showed again why, and still holds on to that championship lead. Only gives up those 4 points to Bobier. But what about this one for Cameron Bobier? Whenever push came to shove at the end of that race, just didn't quite have the speed of Bobby Fong or the consistency of him. But for Bobier in the first half of the race, he looked strong.
He just has to find a little bit when the tires start to go off a little bit. It's where he was kind of, his pace dropped. And him and the team will tonight look at the data and try to figure out what they can do from lap 10 on and try to maintain that pace.
Yeah, it's been a tricky weekend for all of the Superbike riders and teams with the weather conditions and the changes that we've had over the course of the running this weekend. But into this race, you were able to pick up 20 laps of data. You were able to really understand what you need to do. And this wasn't an easy one for Josh Herron and his crew. We saw there was a bit of work being done on the bike on the grid. Obviously didn't go out on track this morning as well. But when it all mattered, they were able to get that podium.
And that's just the consistency what Josh needs. Didn't have his best day, but he's still on the podium. And that's how, at the end of the year, just collecting those valuable points. Those last points there, fighting Sean Dillon Kelly, could come into play as the season winds down. Yeah,
those extra 3 points compared to finishing in 4th make a difference. And you can see down there on the podium, Bobby Fong waiting for his chance. And we'll obviously hear from him in just a couple of minutes' time. But what about this performance from Bobby, backing up everything that we saw at Laguna? That's 3 wins in a bounce.
Yeah, just the way he's been able to do it. He was under, fire early on from Josh, and then it was Bobier that was right there, and he was able to hold them all off. And just to be able to, this track is so physical. It is so difficult on a Superbike, and with the tires go off, and also be able to be within a tenth or two of his best time. And just really impressive ride by Bobby. And, a lot of that has been in practice and qualifying that goes to the team. They've really worked hard and focused on some long runs, and it's paid off.
It's another one of those situations for Bobby as well, where you've set the pace all the way through the weekend, you get into the race, and suddenly you've got Cam Bobier chasing you down. You've got Bobier almost in a position to put half a wheel down the inside at one stage. And Bobby was just able to keep that cool head and keep himself collected all the way through this race. It was a very impressive performance by him and sets up nicely for tomorrow's second race of the weekend.
Yeah, and for Bobby, they're going to be able to look at the data as well, see where they can improve overnight, and see where they're missing, and see a couple areas. I'm sure he's going to try to get that R1 to work a little better tomorrow. But it was that second sector, and we've talked all weekend going into the race that the Yamaha was going to be strong here. It's really good, really nimble bike, and that second sector, he was a half a second quicker.
Yeah, and for Fong, he was able to make the difference over the course of this race. It added up to be 7 seconds at the flag, and we'll get the chance to hear from our podium finishers in just the next couple of moments.
An embrace between Fong and Beaubier. Of course, a lot of respect between those two riders. Let's take a look at these results. As Bobby Fong was able to capture a 7.3 second margin of victory, and Heron just over Sean Dylan Kelly. Absolute grit, desire, determination. But let's get right down to winner circle with Jamie.
For the first time in his career, Bobby Fong is now a 3-in-a-row Superbike race winner. And you said earlier this weekend, Bobby, that you wouldn't have been able to take advantage like this of this factory ride earlier in your career. How do you celebrate it now?
Honestly, we're just going to go race by race. I'm super happy to be up here. You know, my attack performance progressing Yamaha. This thing is obviously a dream out there, and we just got to keep our heads up. You know, we got some fast guys, and we just got to keep plugging away. I can't get too excited and big-headed or anything because, man, these guys are talented around me, and we just got to keep our head down just like I always am. And it's kind of hard because I don't show the excitement as much because I'm just thinking about tomorrow. You know, I'm thinking about how to be better, and which kind of makes me keep going. But like I said, I'm happy to be up here, happy to get a little closer in the points, and we'll just keep it moving.
Keep it flowing, as Happy Bob would say. Congratulations on another race win for him. Now just 1 point separating himself from Cameron Beaubier in those championship points. And Cam, it was a fight between the two of you for several laps, but at the end, ultimately, you didn't have the pace to stay right there with them. What can you clean up for tomorrow?
Yeah, thank you. First of all, it's awesome to be back at VIR. It's an amazing track, always a good fan turnout, and yeah, just enjoy riding around this place. So nice to be back here. We haven't been back here since, or I haven't since 19, and yeah, it's fun. But yeah, the race, I mean, it was going pretty good at the beginning. Bob had an awesome pace going. I was able to get around Heron at the beginning and put my head down and run some low 24s, which is pretty awesome. The fastest times I've done all weekend. So that was awesome to catch up to Bob, and man, he was just nailing those high 24s the whole race, and it was a pretty grueling pace. And yeah, I had no tire left there, you know, halfway. I was doing everything I could to stay with him, but he was just flat better today. So we're gonna go back, the Tyler's boys, and we're gonna work hard and see what we can come up with tomorrow. But yeah, happy with this second place, and go into it tomorrow.
10th podium of the season for Cameron Beaubier as he looks to claw himself back out. And we go back to our championship point leader, our defending champion, Josh Heron, missed out on the laps in qualifying. You were there fighting for a long time with Sean Dylan Kelly in particular. That last lap battle, what more did you need to be able to hold him off?
I don't know. I was struggling that whole race. That was a difficult one. I was just doing everything I could to stay where I was. And yeah, it was a fun race. I just got to get this Carter machine, Warhorse HSPK Race and Ducati back towards the front. This is a hard one to swallow today, but you know, we missed that session this morning. That hurt us a little bit, but you know, gotta just get back to work with Simone and the guys, figure out what we can do to make the bike a little bit better. We know what we can do, and right now we're not doing that. So we got to get this thing up further and hope for a better race tomorrow.
Some work to do overnight. Greg?
Yeah, definitely, but a good race for Heron when he needed it. And he minimizes anything in terms of what happens in the points. But our coverage from Superbike will continue after this with some highlights. Then we'll get to some points. So much more stuff coming up.
Rog, quite interesting to hear there from our race winner, Bobby Fong. And for me, one of the most telling comments, the fact that he's already focused on tomorrow. And it's always one of those things when we've got 2 races or even 3 races in a weekend, you always have to think about the next one. But you have to take a minute to enjoy winning the race as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You have to enjoy those wins. Superbike race wins are so hard. And sit there and enjoy it with your team and your crew. They're so hard to come by. You never know when it's going to be your last win. So it's Bobby needs to sit there And I think with the points coming back a little bit as well, I'm sure he's thinking about that tomorrow he can maybe close that back as well. And for Bobby, what a roll he's on.
Yeah, 3 in a row, and as Jamie said, the first time he's done that during his Superbike career. And we heard from JP as well during the broadcast about the success he's had across a lot of different classes, and it's great to see that a rider like Bobby's been able to now get that success on the Superbike.
And it's great to see Bobby back and what he's been able to do out of the sport for a couple years, and got a real job and thought his career was over, and got an opportunity, and he fought his way back to one of the best teams in the paddock in the biggest class, and he's repaying that team with some victories.
Yeah, and you can see on the podium now as well, just able to enjoy the moment. And for Bobby, obviously the gap now down under 30 points between himself and the championship leader Josh Herron, and we heard from Josh about some of the issues he was having there, but that's a good opportunity now tomorrow for Bobby just to maintain this momentum.
And that's what he has to do if he wants to get back in this title, and Josh is going to be better tomorrow. He's really good at picking up pace, and Beaubier is going to be better tomorrow as well. But this is a great opportunity for Bobby. When you have the pace that Bobby has this weekend, those are the weekends you have to strike and get those points.
All the way through this season, it's been about Josh Herron versus Cameron Beaubier. Bobby Fong, with that 3rd race victory in a row, has firmly put himself into title contention in the Superbike class as well.
MotoAmerica Superbikes is brought to you by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series, and by NXT Bets. Play MotoAmerica for cash, multiple race classes, live on top sports books and DFS platforms all season long.
Highlights from Superbike race number 1 here from VIR.
Here we go, Greg, and it was a good start from our first 2 rows, but Bobby Fong would lead, and not only would he lead, he would start to pull away because Herron jumped in front of Beaubier. You see Gagne there, STK in 5th. Beaubier makes this pass, goes 24-2 right after he did this to run the fastest lap. These 2 guys just kind of got together. Don't really know what to say about that. 2 guys just racing hard, and it happens. Then you see STK, he went up underneath Gagne in 7 like we thought. Couple things that we didn't see during our race was this incredible last lap between these 2 guys. The 40 ended up getting by Herron. Herron ended up getting back away. Fong at this point had already started to drop the hammer and pull away. Here's one little contact between STK and Herron. And Bobby Fong, Greg, just opened up to a 7.3 second lead at the end here as he would beat Cameron Beaubier. It comes across nodding. What we didn't see was some really contact between SDK and Herron.
In that little package we rolled in between.
Yes.
Rubbins racing.
Yes.
All right, Superbike Race 1 coverage continues after this break from VIR.
Roger, that was a cracking race. Again, just some pictures there of that final podium. Bobby Fong, I think it's safe to say, is now an actual title contender.
Yeah, and it's going to get tighter as the season goes on, and this is crunch time for all these riders to try to close back those points that they need. And for Josh Herron, he did exactly what he needed to do. Didn't have the pace of the 2 guys in front today, but he was able to get 3rd and collect a lot of points and keep that little gap that he has.
Yeah, obviously I've made my way up then from the pits, getting ready for our couple more races to go. Twins Cup coming up, SC Project Twins Cup, and then the BTR. How good is it? I've never been here before, as I said earlier in the weekend, Roger. So many fans here. The place in the paddock when I was down doing Mike on the mic earlier, this place is rammed. Yeah,
it's nice, and it's just so great to see all the fans here this weekend, and VIR has always had such a great turnout, and really, Michael, all the races this year. I know there's been a couple you've missed being over doing the World Superbike stuff, but every race this weekend, the crowds have been up a lot. MotoAmerica, you go back to that race, that
was incredible, wasn't it?
Biggest crowd they've ever had for a 2-wheel event. So it's just great to see the sport growing.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. And again, we've worked together now for quite a few years, and I can see it coming back and forwards. Just the amount of fans, even on social media as well, the amount of interaction now, people getting involved, and new teams, new sponsors. As you said, it's great for the series. And we've also seen in the last few years a number of young European riders looking at MotoAmerica as their destination championship, you know?
And it's just going to continue to grow. I mean, they got plans, and things are going to continue to get better. And it's just it's been really fun to watch where it's at today and see how good that it's doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, if you are new to MotoAmerica, you can not just watch us on MotoAmerica Live Plus, you can go back and watch all the highlights of the practice and qualifying sessions, all the preview shows that myself, Jamie, and Roger have done through the season. Go back and watch all of that. But you can also get in touch with us, as I've said a few times, on our social media at World of Speaker. I've gone back into my paddock show mode there. Apologies. At MotoAmerica on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, Threads, absolutely every way of getting in touch with us at MotoAmerica. And of course, if you want all the latest videos, pictures, all the results, MotoAmerica.com. There's a nice climate. Would you fancy that tomorrow, Rog?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I don't know if I could make it to the top.
I don't think I'd be brave enough to make it through the top either. There's a little overview there of the camping area. There are so many people, as we've said, here at VIR. We're not finished yet, Roger. A couple of races still to go today, and then a full day of activity tomorrow. So if you are here around the circuit, thank you for being with us. Don't pack away your chairs just yet. There's a lot more to come on MotoAmerica Live Plus. Roger and myself are going to step away, but we'll be back in a few moments. Let's hand back to Greg and Jason.
Back at Virginia International Raceway, and back for race number 1 coverage, as we're first time back since 2022, and it proved to be a great race. Bobby Fong dominant, but the question is, points? Let's take a look at the point standings and see where we are in this championship. So Herron now had a 31-point lead coming in. That shrinks slightly to 27, but Bobby Fong now only a single point behind Cameron Beaubier. So all of a sudden, what looked like a 2-horse race is now turned into a 3-horse race for this championship.
And we got a lot of racing left, so it's just going to continue to get exciting. And I'll tell you right now, they're going to have to do a lot of work tonight, these teams behind Bobby Fong, to try to bridge that gap.
It's been a really great day of racing here at Virginia International Raceway, and we are lucky enough to get it done again tomorrow. We certainly hope that you'll join us for all of the race coverage. For Jamie and Jason, I'm Greg. Thanks for watching Superbike Race number 1. What does Josh Herron have tomorrow? He wants to gain an advantage on his points lead. We're going to see. See you then.
Introducing Spectro Performance Oil's heavy-duty product line. Engineered not just for performance, but for endurance. Spectro offers leading engine, transmission, and brake fluid products, which are proudly made in the USA since 1966. Performance, reliability, quality, and tradition. Because every ride should feel as smooth as the first. Spectro Performance Oils.